Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast today with Michael D Butler. He is CEO at Beyond Book Publishing, and him and I were talking about ultras. So Mike's gonna do a 56 miler for his 56th birthday. He is also into a bunch of nonprofit stuff and helping with girls trafficking around the world, which is a sensitive topic that needs to be talked more about because lots of people are abusing, and like we know males and how they act, what testosterone can have them do. So we're going to talk about that as well today and how to prevent that from happening. Michael, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you're up to nowadays?
Hey, Charles, great to be here. As a single father of four sons, I found myself asking, what is my next adventure? My kids were 10, 8, 6, and 4. I had been a pastor for 4 years, and I read a copy of The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. This was 20 years ago, and it really put me on a path to entrepreneurship. And I'd always been business minded. I ran an ad in the newspaper when I was 15 and picked up 14 lawn mowing jobs out of that one ad. I had saved my money for a lawnmower. The challenge was I grew up on the farm in Oklahoma, and I'd saved my money for that lawnmower, but I didn't have a transportation or a driver's license. I had to hire a driver to take me to mow those lawns. So that was the beginning days of my entrepreneurship. And I think anybody can truly create a business now. You find a product, you find a service that somebody needs, and you just make the widget a little bit better, or you deliver it more quickly, or you do it with more passion and care, or you wrap it in some extra things. There might be things right now that your customers are buying from other vendors that they could be buying from you. And Charles, it's 500 times percent easier to keep a current customer than it is to acquire a new customer. So what I say is the best way to make sales is do a customer service call with your current customers, or what you're doing right now, you're interviewing me. And kudos on your success, Charles. Been following you for quite a while now and impressed with everything you're doing. Business is moving so fast these days, and the rate at which young people are becoming not just millionaires, but there are more billionaires created in a recession, in a down economy, and it happens quickly because it's normally just a simple idea that's done a little bit better. We're in book publishing, but I kind of look at book publishing like food delivery. A lot of people thought pizza delivery, Charles, would kill the Italian food industry. It didn't. In fact, it multiplied it 3 times over. And so you want to ask yourself the question, what content do I have laying around? What have I already blogged about, done a video about, done a podcast about that I could repurpose into a book, repurpose every one of your books into a podcast or a coaching program. This is my first book, Single Dad Survival Guide. I wrote during that time because I looked online. There weren't any resources for single dads. So I created one. And so Father's Day, Christmas, I'm always doing a bunch of blogs, interviews and podcast interviews about that topic. And so ask yourself, what am I good at? What am I an expert at? What is my low-hanging fruit that could bring me to the customers I want? We've published 791 titles by authors in 64 nations. And 3 years ago, actually, we were talking about Cancun before this call. I was sitting on the beach in Cancun and decided to write Finding the Speaker's Edge, turning your part-time passion into full-time speaking career, speaking from stage and speaking online, because most of our authors, they're speakers. They're speakers and they just haven't written a book yet. And so I said, you know what? The speaking industry is right now $8 billion a year industry. Within 8 years, it's going to grow to $100 billion a year industry because people aren't leaving home. They're working on Zoom like we're doing right now. So the chance for you to become a best-selling author, create credibility, gain more clients, stock your coaching program and your mastermind with 6-figure, 7-figure customers that are paying for your expert knowledge, and you're just taking your book that you wrote and you're turning every chapter into a course. It's really a powerful way to think about.
Yeah, it's a nice content system. How complicated is it to write a book from scratch via recycling content? And then what platforms do you recommend publishing a book on?
You know, 85% of people in North America want to write a book. Only 15% ever do. Just like running a marathon, 85% of the people say it's on their bucket list, but they never do it because they never get started. And so we actually teach a course called How to Write a Book in 1 Hour. And we literally teach you how to write a book in 1 hour at beyondwebinar.com. And it's a course that I've taught for years, that I've helped thousands of people write their book in an hour. And you say, really, can you help me write a book in an hour? I help you write a chapter in 20 minutes. I help you figure out, what do you want this book to do for you? Get you on more stages, get you on more podcasts, credibility, charge more for coaching, become a referral magnet for you. And so all of those things are important, but most people you meet, they're stuck, and it's been 6 years or 12 years. Their friends and family are saying, dang, when are you going to write that book? Had a lady last week tell me on Zoom, she said, I've been trying to write this book for 27 years. And I said, well, get on beyondwebinar.com. I'm going to teach you how to write it in 60 minutes. I say, you want to publish your book everywhere the customer is. So yeah, got to ask yourself, where is my customer? And a lot of people writing books in the US and Mexico and Canada say they think their avatar is right here in North America, but 76% of book readers are buying and reading books in English outside of the US. So we talk about that. You want to know who your avatar is. What action do you want them to take? You want to be very specific. But the mistake most people make is what I call the Ernest Hemingway syndrome. The Ernest Hemingway syndrome, Charles, is, hey, because I'm not Ernest Hemingway, I'm not going to publish my book. Guess what? You'll never be Ernest Hemingway. I'll never be Ernest Hemingway. In fact, Ernest Hemingway wasn't even Ernest Hemingway until he wrote his first book. So the main thing to do is grab your pen and start writing every day. Start writing, even if it's a little bit, at the same time, the same place, just like going to the gym. Your endorphins will start releasing. You'll start getting excited. That creative muscles start growing. Just start writing every day. And then start connecting with your reader. How do you connect with your reader? They're already connected online. They're listening to their favorite podcasts. They're reading their favorite authors. Connect with those groups online and start networking, asking questions, following. Say, which book cover do you like best? Tell them why you wrote the book. Build a relationship. So when it comes time for your book to launch, boom, you got a bestseller before it even released.
How complicated is it to get published on Amazon?
So to answer your question, you want to be published everywhere readers are reading. Amazon is 50% of the world's book sales. You can go to kdp.amazon.com and you can self-publish. The downside to self-publishing is the average self-published author never sells more than 200 books. So you want distribution beyond Amazon. So if you got a book idea, and that's great, you want to be able to sell more than 200 books, you should sell 5,000 books, because at the end of the day, if you've got specialized content, people are looking for that book in South Korea, South Africa, and South America. But if they can't find it when they go to Amazon, regardless of what country they're in, Amazon's only in 15 countries. And you know, if you want to get broader reach, you need broader distribution beyond Amazon. Amazon's a good starting place, but definitely don't end there. It's like, we were talking about running terms. It's like doing the 5K when you really should be doing a marathon to reach your maximum impact. Great question.
Right. I want to ask about girls trafficking and the impact that you're having on that, because seeing that you installed cameras in some of your safe houses and so forth. So I'm seeing like actions, concrete actions. I like that. Tell us why you started gaining awareness of that cause and what actions you're putting forward nowadays to improve the situation.
Well, we've had a team on the ground for 7 years in Pakistan. Pakistan is a hotbed of human trafficking. In fact, when the U.S. and the Allied forces 2 summers ago pulled out of Afghanistan, it was so desperate that the parents were selling their kids to traffickers. And so our team on the ground intercepted 54 of the girls, purchased them for $100. And so our team on the ground in the 4 safe houses, we've got 25 full-time staff. We provided the young women ages 6 to 17 medical care, all the resources they would need, a safe, family, loving environment in these 4 safe houses, as you saw there on the website. We have security cameras. We have full-time 24/7 security. And our staff there, where we're not only feeding and educating them, but we're also giving them the entrepreneurial skills where they're learning skills like cosmetology and coding and fashion design, where they don't have to go back into trafficking. And even when they turn 18 and age out, we continue to support them so that they're in a group home environment and they have career placement opportunities with us at 1040impact.org, where we have a full-time staff and our kids, 394 kids and 25 staff, a total of 415 people we're caring for on a daily basis that are making a difference. And 30% of our Beyond Publishing proceeds go to support that cause. And we've got great grassroots people from all over the world that donate. But we actually have a printing press in Pakistan. We actually translate books into Urdu. Urdu is a top 10 language in the world. And we actually have books on entrepreneurship, books on faith, books on health and relationships so that they can better their lives right there in Pakistan. It's a powerful thing.
And how did you discover the cause?
I've always been very passionate about this region of the world like India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, because there's normally not a lot of economic opportunity for young women. And they can't always be on stage. They can't always be recognized. They can't always go to college, and they can't always get involved in politics. And so there's been a lot of changes over the years, fortunately, but there's still a lot of marginalized kids that are from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that just really need help. And so we began supporting an orphanage there. I made a trip over there with my friends, and we formed a nonprofit, a 501c3, and those became my board members. And so here we are 6.5, almost 7 years later, and we've been caring for these kids and growing. What started out as 55 kids that were orphaned because of a fire that we began feeding and caring for, we began to expand that and turn it into 4 safe houses where we've rescued these young girls that they were prostituting out of brothels. So these were orphan girls that got picked up, stolen, kidnapped, or otherwise sold by family members, uncles that may have been left or whatever, that were using them, abusing them, and selling them and profiting. And so now we have girls whose lives are changed and who are being educated and prepared for life where they can support themselves in their own career. And so we feel really good about that.
So how are you splitting your time nowadays? There's 2 months remaining to the year. So what are your top objectives this year?
Well, it's a big push. Everybody wants to get their book out by Christmas. And so we've got a lot of books in queue. We'll publish about 250, 275 books this year as we close out December. And these are authors from all over the world. These are fiction and nonfiction authors. We ghostwrite a lot of books. So we've got a lot of books in process that we're ghostwriting. We do a lot of series. We've got best-selling children's books, and we've got senior romance and business books. So we pretty much runs the gamut. We have imprints for our faith division, for our business division, and for our self-help division. It's been exciting. So what we're doing, Charles, is we're just positioning ourselves going into the next year and making sure our authors don't just have a book, but they've got a business on the back end of that book. And that's why at Beyond Webinar, every week, we do a free webinar teaching you how to write a book in 1 hour. And that's where the magic begins. And that's why we're called Beyond Publishing, Charles.
How does one write a bestseller? Because we've seen great books being written. One example I can think of was David Goggins' book that was written with Scribe, company that went under this year. How does one write that type of book?
Yeah, you really need professional help. It's just like if the electrical or the plumbing goes awry on my house, I'm going to sell my home soon, I'm not going to do my own plumbing. I could watch YouTube videos, but I'm going to call a professional plumber. It's the same way with ghostwriting. If you're not doing surgery every day as a brain surgeon and you're not trained as a brain surgeon, you probably shouldn't be doing brain surgery. And it's the same way. So Goggins had a professional ghostwriter, and his audio books are incredible. I'm finishing the second audio book now, and it's just incredible. As a runner myself, I enjoy listening to it while I run because it makes me tougher, makes me want to go further, and it's very impactful. But he had a ghostwriter. He had an idea of where he wanted to go, but he didn't know all the terrain and all the pitfalls that you can encounter as you're writing a book, because you're not writing the book for you, you're writing the book for the reader and for the action that you want them to take. I was just on the news in Detroit last week talking about my new book called Book Idea to Bestseller in 30 Days, where at beyondwebinar.com, I'll give you a free book consult. You can learn how to write a book in 60 days. It's all right here. It's helped thousands of people over the years. Charles, I love your tribe. I love what you're doing, empowering CEOs. And that's really what it's about. A book gives you credibility. It gets you on bigger stages. It amplifies your voice. But guess what? If you don't get it out there, you don't want to die with your book still inside you. Let's make it happen. 2024, you could have it out the door. And I'll close with this quick story. I met a business owner in Las Vegas recently. He said, next week I'm speaking in Maui. I said, well, tell you what, you hire us to publish your book to come out next year. I flew to Maui. I said, I know the conference. I'll fly in and I'll control the book sales. We created a book cover for him. He got on stage. We pre-sold that book. And 2 months later, when it was done, we shipped books to everybody. He went #1. He had built a brand just by doing a 15-minute talk on a book that was not done. It was blank. It just had the cover. And so all things are possible when you just step out and when you believe and take action.
Love it. Well, thank you, Mike, for all of this. Where can people find out more about you?
Well, they can definitely go to michaeldbutler.com. That's where everything is. That's my main website, michaeldbutler.com. They're going to find everything on the publishing company and on the nonprofit 1040impact.org. Thanks so much, Charles.
My pleasure.